Ginga ginga.
Hello everybody, Infinite Shinjo here, and welcome to Let's Talk Anime episode 57. So this is officially the first one that I'm recording in the new year, at least I think that it is. So I've been finally catching up on requests that I've been given, so let's get started. So up first is Sakugan, and this is probably going to date the video a lot where I was watching it as it was airing. I don't believe that it's airing now. I believe it was last season, or at least 2 seasons ago by the time this was posted, I'm not sure. And it's not bad. I will say that what drew me in is the opening song. Because as a huge fan of Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds, with Masaki Endo singing a lot of insert songs in Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds, it was really cool to see them come back and sing the opening for this. If it wasn't obvious from the fan-made opening that I posted on my channel as well. But as a show, it definitely grabbed me in from the start. I like the dynamic between Memepu and her dad. I believe it's Gagumber or Gagumba, one of the two, because I know she mispronounces it, not sure if it's on purpose, but I really liked what I saw. I've only seen 2 episodes, and that is where the problem lies. I've seen the first 2 episodes, maybe the 3rd one, I can't remember, but this has been at least a couple of months ago, and I've never gone back to watch it. And that might be because I've had so much stuff to watch on my plate, or because it just didn't grab me enough to continue it. I don't know. It's a similar thing with the new Demon Slayer that's out, where I don't watch episodes consistently, but when I do watch them, they just grab me in and really enjoyable. But again, from what I've seen, it's been really good. It gives me a nice mix of Gurren Lagann and Made in Abyss. Even though I've only seen Made in Abyss, I know the general concept of Gurren Lagann where everybody's underground or some stuff like that, and this definitely gives me vibes of that. Memepu and her dad are certainly fun characters, and Memepu comes off as a character where she doesn't come off as a brat for the most part. And even though she's a super genius, she's also a kid. So when stuff happens and she messes up and situations arise, you have to remember, she's only just a kid. But who knows, by the time this video comes out, I might have watched more? I don't know. If you have seen the whole show, let me know how it is, because it might be a situation where it's like Decadence, where the first few episodes that I have watched I really liked, but then when I went back to it, it just kind of ruined everything for me. And so I hope it doesn't end up being a situation like that, but again, if you have watched it, let me know what you think. And up next is Platinum End. Funny enough, I didn't plan for this entirely because I'm just going off a request. Everything in this video is newer, which is kind of fitting. But Platinum End, where do I even start? I guess I should start with the pros, because I have a lot more for the cons. The pros, absolutely love the opening. The opening is great. I believe the band that performs this also does the new Log Horizon opening, and I think it's an ending in Yu-Gi-Oh! Vrains. I can't remember if it's an ending or an opening, but Bandmade, from what I've seen, is really good. And the other thing that I like is there's so much that is intriguing me off of what the Angels are actually plotting, because like, it's obvious that NASA is just doing all this for herself, and I kind of get that, because if the person that she's guiding becomes the new god, then she basically gets a royalty off of it. So I can kind of see where she's coming from with that aspect. But one of the cons is she's a neat character. She's definitely not a hero. She's definitely not a villain. But I'm just not a fan of her just getting in Mirai's face and saying, hey, you know what? You could use this to solve all your problems. And she's like being super pushy about it. I just don't really like that. Of course, on the opposite end, I would rather her not be just some airhead, because if it was any other character with that voice, I could definitely imagine that she'd be an airhead. No offense to any VAs that do her voice. But tying into another thing that I didn't like is it's just kind of edgy and kind of generic in a way. And the other note that I wrote is that it just gives me vibes of what if a show like Death Note or Mirai Nikki would be a show in the modern era. Because more Mirai Nikki gives me vibes of like there's so many people around the world, it's basically a death match, and it just gives me vibes of Platinum End is Mirai Nikki in the modern era. And even with all of that, I am still kind of invested in it in a weird way. Like, I'm positive how it's going to end with Mirai being the new god and all that stuff, but it's just kind of edgy and generic. Actually, I think it's still going on, so it might not be finished yet. But just from what I've seen, it just is one of those super edgy and generic shows that I normally wouldn't like, but I actually do for some reason. And rounding off this video is Digimon Ghost Game. So, full transparency, I'm pretty sure this is based off of a game in some way. I don't know for sure, but I don't know anything about the game if there is one. And even the new Digimon soft reboot that they did, the last one, I haven't finished it. Mainly because Hulu doesn't have all the episodes for some reason. It stops at like 48 or 49 or something. So yeah, I haven't finished all of the original Digimon, if you can even call it the original. So I'm more or less going into this blind. And first of all, I do just want to say that I'm really liking that it's a Digimon where it's not based off of anything prior. Because like modern Digimon things, at least from what I've seen, the Digimon Tri movies, based off of the original cast. The Digimon 2020 reboot, it's based off of the original cast. It's really nice that they're actually doing something where it's not based off of something already. Like, I wouldn't mind something based off of Digimon Tamers myself, but I'm just glad that they're going with something new. And it's kind of a similar thing with Pokemon, where Digimon is basically the equivalent of Gen 1 with Pokemon. Not even comparing Digimon to Pokemon as a franchise as a whole, but just like, it always seems like with both of them, and even Yu-Gi-Oh! With the modern cards that they're releasing, they rely so much on nostalgia, so seeing something like this is just a breath of fresh air. Although with that being said, I do like the take on original Digimon being these sort of myths and rumors. Because you have Clockmon in episode 1 and Mummymon in episode 2, and I believe his name is Chumon as well. I really like the early Digimon being involved, even though they're just rumors. It's a way that it gives nods to people that have seen the original series and remember those Digimon without it seeming super obvious. But from what I've seen, I've obviously seen the Clockmon and Mummymon episodes. Those were obvious. And the third one, oh, what was his name? That Imp dude. It's not Impmon. I would have loved if it was Impmon. It's that dude that's like playing tricks on people and just seeming like he's gonna be the big villain, at least from the start. Not sure. But I've gotten to the point where Ruli met her Digimon. And that's all I've seen. In a way, I'm kind of upset that the first 2 episodes were based off of Hero and Gamamon, but I kind of get it. The first episode was them meeting each other, the second episode was introducing evolution, so I'm sure that the 4th episode is going to be the other kid, which I gotta say, I love the other kid. His voice is just great, and his performance is super hilarious. I like the idea of a sort of Joe Keto sort of character, because in the original series, Joe is always the baby, essentially. Even though he was the oldest, which makes no sense. But one more thing I want to mention on the notes for the characters is the main character, Hiro, the same Japanese VA as Miss Kobayashi. I heard that, and I had to check it out, and now if you watch it, you probably won't be able to unhear it. The only things I didn't like is it still has its Digimon cliches. Like, I obviously knew that Hiro's dad was going to be fine. And on that note, tying into the other negative that I have, I'm just not a fan of characters that are having names that are literally on the nose. I did mention it with Mirai in the last topic, but that's more a Japanese sort of thing because Mirai translates to Japanese, but it's not like his name is literally future. You'd have to retranslate it. But his name is literally hero. Just call him protagonist at this point. There are some times that you can get away with having a name like that, but in a show like Digimon where he's clearly the main character, it just feels a little on the nose to just call him hero. But honestly, this is probably the first time that I can say this in a Let's Talk Anime episode. All three of the topics were actually pretty good. Sakugan, I would say, is probably my least one that I go back to, mainly because I haven't seen it in a long while. Digimon I'm definitely going to continue, and Platinum End I'm still a little bit on the fence on. Probably when I catch up on a lot of stuff that I've been needing to catch up on, I'll go back to these three and see what I like, what I don't like. But that is going to do it for this episode of Let's Talk Anime. If you enjoy, hit that like button down below, subscribe if you haven't. If you have any topic suggestions, leave them down in the comment section, and I'll get to them when I get to them. I'll see you next time. Momentai.